While the struggle continues for a European solution for the migrants on Lesbos, the next refugee drama is now unfolding at another European external border, the Canary Islands. Some 4,000 people have arrived by boat since the beginning of the year. Hundreds are thought to have died while making the treacherous journey on the Atlantic Ocean. Many of them are fleeing the deteriorating security situation in the Sahel, with boats departing from Morocco and the territory of Western Sahara. They're also departing hundreds of kilometers farther south from Mauritaina and Senegal. While arrivals to mainland Spain fell by half compared to the same period last year, landings in the Canary Islands increased nearly sevenfold.
The sea is surprisingly calm this afternoon, at least for Fuerteventura. Abdul Kamara and his friend Ibrahim Touré remember well the high waves when they arrived on the Spanish island. They'd already spent 3 days on the sea in a rubber dinghy. The Atlantic crossing between Africa and the Canary Islands is considered the most dangerous escape route in the world. Suddenly, we heard air leaking from the rubber dinghy. At that moment, everyone was scared to death. I had the feeling that this could really be the end for us. I thought about my little sister, who would then be left without me. I thought about friends I would never see again. I was in a state of shock, and I couldn't move anymore.
J'étais là, peur, et puis j'étais là, hypnotisé, et je ne pouvais pas bouger.
The leak was successfully patched and Abdul reached the Spanish coast. In the last few weeks alone, more than 1,000 migrants like him have arrived in the Canary Islands. Many Mediterranean countries have tightened controls against immigration because of corona, and the well-trodden route via Libya has become dominated by criminal gangs. With such developments, the dangerous Atlantic route has become increasingly attractive. New arrivals are placed in largely empty hotels. The island's tourism association has sharp criticism for the government's decision. We're currently working to promote Fuerteventura as a safe and clean island that's in the best of health. Nobody likes to see a hotel full of migrants now. That's reality. At the government level, Island Director Domingo Fuentes also receives criticism from other sides. Human rights activists criticise that the migrants are sealed off in hotels and don't have access to asylum procedures. They warn of conditions similar to those in Greece, where the migrants lack the most basic necessities. Fuentes rejects the criticism. We are a southern external border of the European Union here. In the same way that the EU is currently addressing the issues of migration from the Near and Middle East, it should also address the problems arising from migration here on the southern border. And adding to the stress, the government sees growing concern over coronavirus infection rates. Immediately upon arrival, people reaching the island are tested. In one of the last groups, half of the tests were positive. Many newcomers like Kamara and Touré want to leave the island as soon as possible and move on to the European mainland. Where exactly, they don't know yet. The main thing is a place where they can find work and are safe from deportation back home.
Let's go straight to Fuerteventura now and DW's Jan-Philipp Scholz. Good day to you, Jan-Philipp. Spanish officials are warning that the difficulties on Fuerteventura that we've just been looking at will only be increasing with the number of new migrant arrivals set to surge. What are they expecting?
Yes, exactly. Some people are already warning that there could be conditions like on Lesbos if the crisis continues for too long and there are too many new arrivals on a daily basis. The Canary Islands have already been a popular destination for migrants mainly 10, 15 years ago. Then migration routes via the Mediterranean became more popular, but I think there are also a lot of reasons why the route via the Canary Islands is becoming more and more popular again. We have the problem that the conditions in Libya, a typical transit country, the conditions there are horrible. Migrants are kidnapped, sometimes even killed. We have increased border controls due to the pandemic. And last but not least, we have a lot of desperate people in the countries of origin, especially in Western Africa, especially in the Sahel region. There are more and more conflicts and more desperate people willing even to risk their lives.
What's the Spanish government doing to help those, especially those whose lives become endangered while making this very, very difficult crossing?
not enough. At least that's what a lot of activists say, and that's also what the Human Rights Commissioner of the European Union said in a statement recently. They criticize that Spain does not do enough in the search and rescue missions. They also criticize bad housing conditions. And especially here on the Canary Islands, a lot of activists criticize that migrants don't have access to proper asylum procedures. They even speak about deportations without a proper legal basis. And they stress the need for more search and rescue missions.
Briefly, if you could, local politicians are putting the blame on the EU. What do they want to see happen?
I think, first of all, they want more attention. Of course, all the focus is on the Eastern Mediterranean, especially on Greece at the moment. Of course, they also want more financial aid from the European Union. But most of all, I think they want what most countries that have external EU borders want. They want a European solution. They don't want to be left alone with the problem.
Jan-Philipp, thanks very much for that from Fuerteventura. A police operation is now underway on the Greek island of Lesbos to move thousands of migrants and refugees into a new temporary tent city. Many have been sleeping on the streets after a fire destroyed their refugee camp. Authorities say the operation has so far passed off peacefully, but many migrants are reluctant to move into the new facility.
Rows of tents on the Greek island of Lesbos. They've been set up for migrants displaced by the fires that gutted the Moria camp. On Thursday, Greek police started moving hundreds into them. Over the past few days, migrants had chosen to stay on the streets in squalid conditions, many saying they'd rather remain here than run the risk of being detained for months in a completely new camp. Some have even returned to what remains of Moria. They said the temporary tents are not enough. They want long-term solutions.
We want a free life. We've come here to live. We are human. We are not animals. They put us in a place where there's no life, and it's like a jungle. A human cannot live in such tents.
Early on Wednesday, only about 1,200 of the roughly 13,000 migrants rendered homeless by the fires had moved to the new temporary accommodation. The UN Refugee Agency said there is capacity for about another 8,000 people and had urged people to move. It had said it's the only way forward.
People who have been in Moria can come to this camp, and we encourage them to come there because it's from here that their process will continue, that their procedure will continue, that solutions can be found, and that people can leave the island. Because the idea is not that people remain forever on the island of Lesbos.
But while several European states have offered to take in migrants from Lesbos, others say they will not. They're offering to provide more aid and even more tents instead.
Let's get the very latest now with Daphne Tullis, a journalist on Lesbos. Good day to you, Daphne. Can you tell us about the police operation now underway to move the migrants and refugees into the new tent city that we just saw being set up?
Hello from the island of Lesbos. Yes, indeed, there was a police operation that started very early in the morning, right before dawn, actually. Police forces brought riot buses and they blocked off the road where the people have been staying. For the past 8 or 9 days, they blocked off the road so that people would not leave and sort of contain them in this area where they have been staying already all these days. The traffic has been disrupted since the people are living here on the streets. The shops in the area, a couple of supermarkets and gas stations have been they cannot operate. So since this morning, the police went around to people and told them that they will have to go to the new camp to access facilities there, water, electricity. They will be registered there in the new site again. They will be handed non-food items, sleeping bags, tents, smaller tents, actually, because there are tents there and other non-food items that the aid agencies are providing. And there's, at the moment, the latest that I have is that there's 2,300 people, around 2,300.
Oh, okay, I wanted to get to that question. How many people are not going into the camps, and how many have already moved into the new facilities?
So the latest information is that at least 2,300 people have gone since yesterday morning in the camp. The operation started 7 in the morning, very early, where police authorities were waking up people, telling them that they will have to pack their stuff and slowly head to the camp. It's not a big distance to walk over there, and there's still many people that are reluctant to go to the new facility. They think, or they have heard, that there's no water. They told me that they think that there's no electricity, or that they're going to be closed in the camp and will not be able to come out.
Okay. Daphne,
there's also
we have to leave it there, Daphne. Thanks so much for bringing us up to date on the situation right now at the Moria camp there, right outside it on Lesbos. Thanks so very much. Well, the European Parliament's due to discuss the situation on Lesbos during today's debate. Our correspondent Barbara Vazel standing by for more on that. Barbara, can we expect the EU to agree to a common approach to resolving the situation on Lesbos?
There is no wonder no common approach, because, as we know, this is the most poisonous political battleground in the European Union. So even when this debate was scheduled in the European Parliament, there were some right-wing and some populist parties who said, we don't want this debate. Where is the problem? It was the refugees themselves who are supposed to have put the camp, set the camp on fire. And so we don't want to talk about this. But we just, of course, the debate is taking place. There is a majority against that very hard line position, but it shows how deep the divisions go. We just heard the European Commissioner, Ylva Johansson, the Commissioner for Refugees, and she said progress on Moria is slow. And that is, like we just saw, people mistrust the local the police and the people on the ground, and they say we don't want to go in those camps anymore because we'll be stuck there forever. And after 5 years of people being stuck in Moria, no wonder. So solutions here are difficult, and at the moment the discussion just goes about getting more humanitarian aid there, and there is no real long-term or even medium-term solution in sight, it seems.
Okay, we're focusing right now on Moria, but Greece is not the only country with an EU external border that's currently struggling with an influx of migrants.
Absolutely not. Nobody's talking about Spain, because the southern Mediterranean route has been sort of come back to life towards the end of last year. People mostly from the Sahel area, in conflict zones down there, like Mali, people from Cameroon and so on, they've been moving up through Morocco, and they have now ended up on the Canary Islands. And it's the same situation. We don't have exact figures, but it's several thousand people that have arrived there already. And it's the same situation as in Greece. The islands are a bottleneck, and the Greek authorities are not, the Spanish authorities are not willing or not capable of moving people on from there. Same situation again, because they say nobody in Europe is taking these refugees off our hands. There is no redistribution, and that is still the point we're stuck at.
Barbara, thanks so much for looking into this. As that debate continues today in Brussels, thanks so very much.